In this lesson, we're going to look at what happens to our motorcycles when we begin to apply our front brakes. Now, we're going to try to keep things pretty straightforward here, but there will be a few technical points that we'll go over that will give us an understanding of what's going on underneath us, and we'll talk about what that means to us as riders and how we can use it to our advantage. So, the first thing that happens when we squeeze that brake lever, we begin to create friction with the brake pads on the brake rotors. That friction turns into energy, which works through our brake rotors, into the wheels, into the tires, and ultimately into the pavement. Now around that time, we also start working this energy up into our forks, which begin to collapse. That energy transfers back down through our forks, collapsing them and taking them through the stroke through the spring, hydraulic, and pneumatic systems contained within. That energy then settles in and gets transferred more aggressively into our tires, deflecting them and changing shapes. This is when things start to get interesting. At this point, our motorcycles are reaching a working geometry, which is much different than static geometry. Now, before we get too technical, working geometry just means our forks are collapsed and our bikes are now more prone to turning. We're going to talk more about that in our trail braking course, but for right now, just understand this. That means we also have more grip on the front tire, which is a great thing seeing as we're using the front brake. So the next thing we have to think about is also with that front tire. Now that we've deflected that front tire, we've increased our contact patch 2 to 3 times what it normally would be. And this is great for us. We've got more grip, more traction in the front end, so we can use the front brakes even more. Now it's important to remember, whenever we see mishaps or something happen with the front end with straight up and down lean angle, basically no lean angle, that usually means there was something going on there, either rider error or something on the racetrack. It's just not something that normally happens. We're going to tell you how to avoid that. We're going to go over how to use the front brakes and how much to use the front brakes. But I just wanted to lay that groundwork and let you understand that when we're using our front brakes, we're really creating a great scenario to use more front brakes. So that's what happens when we use our front brakes on the motorcycle, and we'll talk more about this here in the next lesson.